So it is time to get this going. The MLB The Show is back. The Operation Sports Minors has dropped. It is released, and we are ready to go with this new franchise this year. Obviously, the baseball season's already started, but I can't wait to get this one going. These rosters dropped, and we are ready to go. So let's hop into a franchise here. And obviously the first franchise we did a few years ago was with my favorite team, if you don't know, and that's the Baltimore Orioles. It was fun. It was successful for sure. So it was always good to play, obviously, with the team that you love to start out with. Now, last year, we ended up moving on and then going over to the Oakland Athletics. Once again, another fun franchise. A team. We built it up. We got to a World Series. We ended up losing. But we just didn't go deep enough. Obviously, with baseball, it's so tough to go as far as possible. So that's what we're going to try to do this year. Change it up a little bit, sim a little bit further. And the team we are going with is the Cincinnati Reds, a team that definitely needs some help, needs some help in the farm system. Maybe doesn't really have the talent to even compete for a division this year or even in the next couple years. Obviously, you have the Cubs, the Brewers in this division. So obviously St. Louis Cardinals as well. So it's a tough division, interesting team to go with. So what we're going to do pretty much in this first video is just pretty much go over the roster of the team, look at some of the prospects, and then from there, the second video we'll come out with will be pretty much simming the whole first season and going through the draft and free agency and getting ready for season number 2. We're just going to instantly sim one season here to, get more of the prospects, get the guys we even draft, we could see them play for years to come, because that's the problem sometimes with baseball. I love the whole prospects, deal thing. I love it. It's some of the, funnest things you could possibly do. But sometimes it's just so hard to get, 4, 5, 6 years into it to where you actually utilize those guys and they become a core roster of your team. So sometimes I might, bring them up a little too early than you would maybe even in real life, just because, you want to play with them. So that's going to be the difference with this one. The first season is going to be a complete sim. We're not even going to play a game of the first season. So we'll take a look at the roster we got going up right now. But in reality, it's going to change a lot for sure. Obviously, there's a few core guys that will probably be kept, but it's going to change a lot. We'll just go over the base roster for right now just to see what this Reds team has. So obviously Joey Votto has been the face of this franchise for years. He's probably one of the best pure hitters in baseball, maybe of all time, I would say. Excellent hitter. Some considered him, obviously last year, we'll check a look at his stats, he had a bit of a down year, but a lot of them considered him to be, one of the best hitters in baseball overall up until last year. So let's first go through the roster. We'll go through the pitching staff. Tanner Roark comes over from Washington last year, going 9-15. Pretty much, he's a decent pitcher. Maybe not, obviously not a number 1. He's definitely a number maybe 3 or 4 pitcher in a rotation. Maybe even a number 5 possibly. He's just going to eat up some innings and be solid for you. He's not going to do anything outstanding. But for the Cincinnati team, I mean, there's not much you can do. Not a whole lot of options there. So now we move on to Alex Wood. He has started the season on the 10-day, it's now injured list instead of the DL, disabled list. I'm not sure about that. But he can come right back up. We'll definitely get him going, so he'll be fine for sure. Luis Castillo really is the interesting one here as well. He's only 26 years old. He has some phenomenal stuff. Last year going 10-12. ERA 4.43, whip just at a 1.2. This is the guy to look out for and possibly be an ace in the next year or two. This is a guy we definitely need to build for sure. This will be his, second kind of full season. Obviously, he pitched in 2017, getting 15 starts, but last year his first real full season. Sonny Gray used to be just this top prospect and was excellent for Oakland. And then obviously injuries really got to him. He goes over to New York in a trade, and I have to say, kind of obviously maybe disappointing for the Yankees for sure, and that's why he was not brought back. So this is kind of a, buy low, and then obviously hopefully he turns out to be like his old self, but we'll see. Anthony Descalafini, yeah, same thing. A lot of these guys are just, I wouldn't even worry about them. Just a few of them I would, because they're probably not going to be a part of this team going forward. Taylor May, he's only 24 years old, B potential. 7-9 last year, ERA about 5. A guy maybe that we might turn into somebody like a bullpen arm for sure. I'm not sure if he'll turn out to be a starter. We'll have to see how this first season goes and see how some of these guys are for sure. Going to the bullpen, not really the greatest bullpen, that is for sure. Very a lot of age there. A guy really interesting though is Amir Garrett. He came up obviously as a prospect starting pitching in 2017. He started 14 games there. He ended up going 3-8 with a high ERA. Really struggled with control obviously, and he does have very good stuff, and that's why he was moved to the bullpen. You know, bring him out for an inning or two and just throw that heat and that good slider, and then possibly just get some guys out. So I think he could turn into an outstanding bullpen arm, possibly. You know, depending what happens at the closer position here, Raisel Iglesias, definitely a very good closer. The problem is that this team is not going to, you know, win a whole lot, so it's tough to even get to him. So he might be great in the back end, but when you can't even get to your closer, it's just tough to even, you know, it's not much he really has much of an impact for sure. So that might be a trade offer as well, just going forward. So Tucker Barnhart, the catcher, last year hit 10 home runs, 46 RBI, hit around 248, pretty much just there for his defense. Not really getting a whole lot out of the bat, but we're gonna have to change that. We're gonna have to get everybody in any position really to get some hits here, to get some wins for this team. Obviously, Joey Votto, the face of the franchise. He has been so good for so long, and then last year kind of had a down year. 284, 12 home runs, 67 RBI. Is that just a fluke year, or is he starting to decline since he's 35 years old? That's really the option. As for Votto, not really sure if we will end up trading him or not. Obviously, he could get something in return, but maybe just keeping him since he's been a Red for so long. Scooter Gennett, obviously the best hitter on this Reds team last year, 310, 23 home runs, 92 RBIs. He led this team last year in average. Now, he will be out around 8 to 12 weeks. Once again, we're going to send the first season, so it's not really that big of a deal that he will be out, but I believe he had a groin strain out around 8 to 12 weeks. We'll probably just bring him up and see what he can do. But another trade bait guy for sure, that if he can produce a little bit, that we can definitely bring back some prospects for sure. This team has some decent prospects, which we will go over a couple of them here after we look through the roster. But really, it's all about building, this organization and having that depth. Obviously, we need pitching depth, that is for sure. We have to start with the pitchers. The old adage, used to be you grow the pitchers and you buy the bats. So we definitely need to look to really get some good young pitchers in this organization. And we have a few trade bait guys here we can throw out there, and then hopefully we can bring back something. Obviously, I don't think we're going to bring back, top 25, prospect talent. But at least we can look more towards the top 50 prospects, and hopefully we can bring a couple of them. Obviously, this day and age in baseball, obviously prospects have always had value in baseball, but really nowadays, the past few years, it's really held value, and it's just so tough to get the prospects you want. Nobody's willing to trade anything, so it's going to be tough, I think, to bring back some guys for sure, but we got to do our best to try to get what we can get. As we continue through the roster here, so we go to the outfield. Matt Kemp, another guy, kind of like Sonny Gray in this sense. Just an unbelievable baseball player maybe 4 to 5 years ago, and then he really dropped off with the Padres and the Braves. But last year he came back and played very well, kind of faltered near the end of the season. So an interesting pickup there for the Reds. Another guy, yeah, definitely a trade deadline type of guy. If he can, hopefully he can perform well, and then we can kind of just send him off and trade him. As for center field, Scott Schebler, I don't see this guy really being around for that long. If he can just perform and maybe be, a guy off the bench, that could be definitely well. Hit 17 home runs, 49 RBIs, hit 30 the year before. So he's got a little bit of a power. So maybe with more at-bats, he might bring more power for sure. And then in right field, another guy coming over from the Dodgers, and that's Yasiel Puig. This signing, I believe, is, to me, I don't really agree with this signing. I don't think that this team is going to compete in this year, so I don't understand why. You know, Puig definitely has some talent, but the signing to me is like, not really sure. We'll see what we do with Puig. He might be another trade guy. I mean, he's only 28 years old. I mean, so he could be kept around for sure, kind of as a veteran player, but we'll see about that. As now we move on kind of to the fun part, and that's the definitely top 5 prospects on this team, and it starts with Nick Senzel. He is one of the top prospects actually in baseball, in the top 10, drafted number 2 years ago. He is such an absolutely outstanding hitter. He can play multiple positions. So he will be ready to go before you know it. Maybe even this year, coming up in September, possibly, that he could be up. But this is the guy that definitely is going to be built around. He's a very, very good talent, and I can't wait to get Nick Senzel underway with this Reds team. So we keep going into the outfield. Obviously, Senzel can be moved around for sure, so that helps. But Taylor Trammell is another guy who could be something special in the outfield. Now, he's more of a raw talent. Two-sport athlete in high school, almost played football at Georgia Tech, and he has got some speed. He just needs to work more on his obviously hitting ability. His arm strength, not the greatest, but his fielding, it could be with that speed, could be great. Obviously, a base stealer. So hopefully we can improve his bat in the minors. He's maybe a year or two, maybe a couple years away from coming up to the big leagues, but another guy we can look forward to in the outfield. So maybe in the next 2 to 3 years, this outfield could be obviously something special with those two guys, and that's for sure. As we'll move on to the next prospect, and it's going to be Hunter Green, another guy with great ability on the mound, a pitcher this time. He's only 19 years old, was drafted number 2 in 2017, and his fastball is electric, can definitely get into triple digits. He just really has to work on his secondary pitches and get those going. But that fastball can get him out of trouble. Anywhere from around 97 to 102. And now it says 96. But if you look at the scouting report, he can reach 102. So he's only 19. And we'll have to see a lot more of him. He is definitely 2 to 3 years away. That is for sure. Unless he somehow just makes a big improvement. So next we'll go to third base and Jonathan India. Now this guy could move through the system a lot quicker. Played 3 years at college in Florida. Drafted at number 5 overall. And he is just a solid overall player. Obviously more room to improve. But he can move through quickly. And we could see him obviously be the starting third baseman maybe in the next few years. And then we'll end off here with the top 5. Tyler Stevenson, catcher from Georgia. Has a bit of pop in his bat. But really, he has an unbelievable arm, very good defense, and obviously with his height, weight, he can really do some damage there in the back of the plate, and that's exactly what you need from a catcher. Somebody that, you know, is the threat of the base runner getting thrown out and obviously making sure the defense is outstanding. So that is kind of the top 5 prospects. Another guy here and there is Lucas Sims. He's only 24 years old, but he came over from Atlanta. So not really a prospect per se since he's already seen some service time, but he's only 24. Could make the Major League roster. We'll see how he does with us. But that is going to be pretty much the overview of this team. So what we're going to do, like I said, sim this whole first season. Obviously, we'll make some stops. So this next video will be, it's going to be packed full of stuff. We'll go through the trade deadline. We'll go through the draft. We'll go through an off season, and then we'll get into season number 2 and see what we want to do from there. Probably play a few games here and there in season 2 and try to get through that one quickly as well. And then maybe season 3 is really where we pick it up, and we have some guys that you know, we kind of mold the team how we want to, and we're gonna try to move a little bit quicker, obviously, through this franchise so we can see some of those prospects, we see some of those young guys come out, and we'll see how the baseball, you know, how it forms around everybody. So I think this will be fun. I can't wait to really get this one going. Obviously with these rosters, this almost makes it possible. So thanks to the guys that do the Operation Sports rosters. It's unbelievable, and can't wait to really get this one going. So that's going to do it for this one. Thank you guys so much. If you please leave a like, comment, subscribe. I will see you in the next one. You guys have a good one. Bye-bye.